Welcome to the Metal Bob Live podcast. I am your host, Metal Bob. Today's show is sponsored by Legend Picks and artist Jeremiah Kalleck. Links to our sponsors will be listed on our page at the end of each episode. On today's show, episode 2, I had the honor of talking to ex-Babylon A.D. bassist Robb Reid. We discussed his semi-retirement from the industry, his influence on me personally as a musician. We touch on a very important issue that is very dear to Robb's heart, suicide awareness. We talk about the state of Babylon A.D., and we even talk marriage and grandchildren. So sit back, have a listen, and enjoy the show. Thank you. Robb Reid, how you doing, brother?
Mr. Bobby Fenton, how are you? Hey, can you hear me?
I can. How you doing, brother, man? It's good to hear from you.
I'm doing really well, man. It's really good to hear from you. How's life?
Man, life is great, man. How's life on your end, brother?
You know what? If I could complain, somebody should punch me in the mouth. Because my life is great, dude.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome.
So, hey, I wanted to tell you, something just dawned on me. This will be my very first interview since my departure from Babylon.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Well, that makes me feel really good, man.
Well, and another ironic kind of little piece of the puzzle to this is a year ago this month is when I kind of stepped back from media, from social media, from all that. So, and I was actually thinking, and I mentioned to Julie just a couple of weeks ago that, you know what, it's probably time for me to, come out of hiding and talk to people and get back into the scene again. And here we are. You're the first one.
Well, I'll tell you what, brother, man, I really, really appreciate you doing this, man. It means a lot to me. You mean a lot to me personally. I mean, you was always really good to me every time we've met, and you were a huge influence on me growing up playing the bass guitar, and I look up to you, man. If that means something to you, I really appreciate you, brother.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I've read some of your comments, and let's just take it back to the very beginning. Rock and Skull, when you and I met. In fact, I'm going to drop a name. Jason Stabler was there as well. I think that was the first night you met that guy as well. And I felt a connection with you, man. For me, ever since I started doing this, 40 plus years ago, it wasn't about, the fame, the money, the whatever comes with being, a popular musician. It was about making connections with people. And I did that with you, man. So, thank you for that.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Yeah, me and Jay Stabler, man, we still stay in contact. He's a great guy. He's actually doing a show with his company. He works for a company. They sponsor his band. They're doing a show in Cabo tonight, man.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
In Cabo?
Yeah, he's down in Cabo. They got some function going on with his company, man, and they're down there jamming right now, having a good old time.
Well, cheers to him, man. If you're talking to him, let him know that I wish him the best, and I love him. He's a great guy, and just one of those guys that you meet throughout this journey that you're on, like you, and they just stick with you. There's I don't know if you know the Coons out in Colorado. Those guys, Pete and Jim, are similar to you guys. Just longtime fans, and we finally got to meet them after 20 or 30 years, and I still have a personal relation, I have and developed personal relationships with these guys, with you and Jason, and I've watched Jason go through his wonderful relationship with his lady, and watched him, develop his musical career, and all on the basis of bands like Babylon A.D. And you as well. I literally just talked to Julie, my fiance, a couple of minutes ago about you, and I was like, do you know how impressive it is when a dude says that he started playing, he entered a musical endeavor because of your motivation? You know, so, you know, to hear that you play bass because I inspired you to pick it up and play it, that's amazing, man. You know, you can't buy that kind of stuff.
Right. No, man, dude, it means the world to me, man. That, you know, and I've told you, we've talked before, and that first Babylon A.D. record just means the world to me, man. I mean, I actually just listened to it today. I had a buddy over yesterday, and I put it on for him, man. He's like, God, man. He goes, how did I never hear this? And I'm like, and he's hooked now too, man. It's just a great record. I mean,
thanks, man. You know, our first effort, you know, there's a saying in the music business: you get your whole life to write your first album, but you get 4 months to write your second. So,
right.
You know, you know what I mean. So for us, that first album, you know, we had some great songs going in, and you know, then Derek collaborating with Jack Pawnee and Vic Pepe out on the East Coast brought us to another level of songwriting, and you know, that first record, I mean, I listened to it just recently too, man. I was in my car driving. I thought, you know what? I was going through my artist list on my phone. And I was like, Babylon A.D. Boom. And I hit it, and I put on, like, I think it was Sally Dance or something.
Oh, man.
And you know, it just brought me back to those days of, like, you know, playing some little dirty little bar in Florida, and me sitting on the drum riser with a cigarette in my mouth and just jamming with my brothers and just playing real rock and roll, you know? And, you know, one of the things that, you know, really strikes me as just a listener and a person who appreciates good music. When I listen to our records, and please don't misunderstand that I'm like, oh, well, I recorded it, so it's awesome. I'm just looking at it from somebody who loves rock and roll music. To be able to record something and then to do it on stage exactly the same way, and it sounds exactly the same, man, not a lot of bands could do that. So for me, the takeaway from, you know, my 30, 40-year career with Babylon A.D. was we were true to our music, man. What we recorded, you got when you came to see us live, you know, and actually even better.
Oh, I 100% agree, man. You guys live, you know, and it took a long time for me to get to see you guys. I mean, you know, you guys came out, I think it was 89, and you had the self-titled, and then there was some gap there, and you put a couple more records out, and I remember telling my wife, I said, man, I said, I got to go see these guys sometime. And then you guys got back together and started touring again, and I was lucky enough to be able to come see you. And man, dude, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That show bring a tear to my eye, brother. I was just like in awe watching you guys play. I was just like, oh my God, this is really happening. I'm seeing Babylon A.D. This is unbelievable. My wife,
that's so cool.
And my wife was supposed to be there that night, but my granddaughter was, you know, being born, you know, sometime that week, and so she stayed behind, man. She was really the only thing that was missing from that show, man, because I really wanted her to see you guys, because.
That's a shame, but you know what? I'll tell you what. Babylon A.D. can't hold a candle to a young child being born. So
you're right, brother.
She gets a pass on that one.
You better. And that's one thing I love more than you guys is my granddaughter, man.
There you go, man. There you go. I mean, now that I'm, you know, a little bit kind of semi-retired, you know, that one of the biggest things I think I've gotten from, you know, the last year and a half. I left Babylon A.D. in July of 2018, and you know, and a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people were like questioning why you're leaving, and oh gosh, you know, blah blah blah. There was a lot of hoopla about why it happened, and I guess, you know, since we're here and since we're talking about it, I guess maybe, you know, I need to say a couple things about it and about, you know, why it really happened and where we're all at now, and you know, because at the end of the day, those five, actually 6 guys, I'm going to include John Matthews in that, those 6 guys were my brothers for 40 years. And there's no ill will whatsoever between any of us. So if there's I haven't watched social media. I don't know what people have been saying. But I do know this, that I want people to take away from this is that the six of us remain brothers to this day.
That's a great, man.
You know, I just actually spoke with Derek a couple of days ago, and, you know, we were talking about, you know, some old friends and things that have been happening and you know, Danny with his new release. And I'm going to give a shameless plug. I got to do it for my brother. You know, Mr. De La Rosa's got a new record out called 12 Weeks. I suggest everybody who's a Babylon A.D. fan go out, give it a listen, and then buy it. Because it's Danny De La Rosa. It's an extension of Babylon A.D. and it's going to be good music. So
yeah, bro.
But at the end of the day, here's what happened. So I have for 40 some odd years embodied the moniker of rock and roll musician, sex and drugs and rock and roll, right?
Yes, sir.
So at a point you just can't maintain it, dude. It's just, you know, I missed out on so many different aspects of what normal people enjoy in life. Family, grandchildren, like we were just talking about. I've got a grandson, 13 years old now. Didn't get to see that because I was so just entrenched in Babylon and in music and just getting it back out there. So then I moved to San Diego and left the Bay Area, which has been the band's home since the inception of the band. And that kind of put a little wedge in the band. You know, we weren't a cohesive unit with me being so far away. And then we had some management issues, and I really don't want to get into that part of it, but I think with me being so far away and with the management direction going in a completely different direction than I had anticipated, I think it really came down to a mutual, hey, you know what? Let's just sever it right now, which I was totally cool with. They were totally cool with. The guy that stepped in to fill my shoes, although I only wear a size 9.5, this guy's got much bigger shoes than I do because he's a big guy. Jamie's younger brother, Eric Pacheco, who I've known since he's like 7 or 8 years old, was actually my roadie for several years, stepped in when I left the band during the American Blitzkrieg record, came back in, stepped right in, walked right in, and was right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm kind of happy that I left when I did. And I'll tell you why. Revelation Highway was probably and is probably our best effort to date. The songs on there were like amazing songs, amazing production by Derek Davis, and just a good way for me to go out, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I actually just listened to that before you called, and Crash and Burn's like my favorite song on the record. That thing just smokes.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, and really, you know, the songwriting on that record, 1 Million Miles and Fool on Fire are my two favorites off that record. And they were just, you know, such a departure from the normal head-banging kind of Babylon kind of, you know, hair metal kind of thing. There was a lot of depth to those songs. And I enjoyed recording them and playing them. You know, for sure.
Absolutely. You know, and it kind of takes me back to the first record a little bit because I mean there's a lot of it holds up to that first record. I mean, all these years later, you kind of recaptured that a little bit, I think.
Yeah, you know what I think, and I'll tell you, probably a big component of recapturing that spirit of the self-titled record was probably having John Matthews back in the scene. We haven't really talked about that part of it yet. You know, Babylon has gone through several, you know, inceptions, several iterations. And, you know, the original Babylon A.D. Didn't include Danny De La Rosa. Danny came in kind of mid-first record. And so the original Babylon A.D., the band that got signed by Clive Davis, included John Matthews on guitar and John Matthews, you know, co-writing with Derek. And I think, and then with John coming back into the band and into the fold and into the Brotherhood for Revelation Highway, I think that's why everybody, and I never really thought about that kind of connection because I was just so excited to have John back in the band. But you're right. I mean, that's probably why there's that same kind of feel guitar-wise on Revelation Highway as the debut album,
Right. And, to go back to Danny De La Rosa, and you were talking about his new album coming out, I'm going to have him on the show here in a couple weeks, man. So I'm going to be talking to Danny. We're going to be talking about 12 Weekends, and I have listened to some of it. It's great, man.
Yeah. Julie actually mentioned that to me, that you were going to have Daniel on there. Danny, what can I say about Mr. De La Rosa? He spent a lot of time. 12 weeks is and you can tell him I said this. In fact, write it down, get a pen.
All right.
Tell him I said 12 weeks is an understatement because I know it took way longer.
Okay. I will, man.
I remember coming home. Oh my God, I don't even remember what gig it was. It may have been one of the last gigs I played with Danny, and he popped in a tape for me of some of the roughs off this new material he's doing, and I remember it being very very Dawkinish, very just really like great guitar riffs and stuff like that. So I know this record is definitely a work of passion for Daniel. I know that Daniel and I go way back. We go way back, probably as far back as Derek and I go. Daniel and I roomed on the road together. He was my roomie. And so, I totally respect and I'm in awe of him being able to sit down and put this all together, because a lot of people don't realize how hard, I mean, you probably know how hard it is, how hard it would be to write all the music, put it all together, record it, master it, press it, and get it out there for people to hear. That's a lot of work, man.
It is, man. It is.
Seriously, my hat's off to Danny De La Rosa, and I wish him the best of luck. And the same with Derek. Derek stretched out, and he's done his blues thing, and he's done his R&B thing, which I hear. Don't tell him I told you this, but I hear that he's getting his R&B thing kind of back together for another little Revolutionary Soul. I hear that's kind of going back together again, but don't tell him I told you.
I won't tell him anything, man. If he hears that, it ain't my fault, man. I ain't gonna tell him though.
I'll tell you what. If he hears it, he probably won't say nothing until like 3 years down the road. Remember when you did that interview?
Yeah. Well, he's such a great singer though, man. The guy is very diverse, man. He can sing a lot of different styles of music, and he's just got that soulful voice to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Derek and I, we grew up together, and we grew up kind of on the same music, the Commodores, Jackson 5, a lot of Motown stuff, a lot of R&B, a lot of soul. So, it's kind of a predictable evolution for him to go into this R&B thing. And then, his genetic roots are kind of in the South. So it's also very predictable to see him go and explore that kind of, that funky kind of Mississippi mud. I think that's the name of his new record. That kind of thing. So,
yeah, the Mississippi Mud's that American Blues Box record is killer, man. It's
yeah, he really, when you said a couple minutes ago, he said, he's stretched out and he's done this and done that. He really has, and I'm very envious of him. A lot of musicians don't get to explore all the facets of the things that have influenced them and have motivated them and have inspired them to write the way they write, and to perform and make music the way they make it. So, with that being said, I'm thinking that maybe this year, maybe towards the end of the year, I'm going to do something similar and probably release my own little solo thing and So I'm not going to talk a lot about it because it's still in the formulative stages. But my idea is to take all the songs that inspired me through the years, maybe narrow it down to 5, 6, or 7 of those songs and make that like the B-side. And then the A-side will be songs that I write.
That's cool,
so,
man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I don't even know if I'll release it for, commercial consumption. I may just like distribute it to my friends and family, and, you'll get one, of course. But, and just make it like, hey, you know what? This is the kind of music I put out. This is what inspired me through the years. This is what put me where I got. That kind of thing.
Well, you're doing it for you, man, and that means the most, really. I mean, you're doing it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like, I don't even want to think about the process of narrowing down. I'm 58 years old now. Narrowing down 58 years of musical consumption to 6 or 8 songs.
Right.
The ones that think about that. If somebody said to you, "I want you to sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil and write down the 8 songs that inspired you throughout your life," could you do that?
Oh. Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
No, I couldn't do it, man.
My list would I think it's going to have to be one of those things where I start with a list of like 50.
Yeah.
And then trim it to like 35 and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Well, hey, if you need anybody to sing on it, man, let me know.
Oh, you're a singer too? You're not only a Robb Reid inspired bass player, but you're also a singer?
Singing's my main thing, man. That's what I do.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, you know what? I would be totally open to that. For me, it's like I'm going to need a lot of help to put this record together, and pulling in people like you, some of my old boys from the band. I know that Jamie's already said that he would help me out with it. So, yeah, man, I'll pull you in.
Hey, let me know, brother. I'll do it for free, man, just because I love you.
I love you too, Bobby Thornton. But I'll tell you what, man. Well, I'll bring you out here in summertime where the weather in California and in Southern California more specifically is way better than where you're at.
Oh, I guarantee it is. It's like 30 degrees here right now. It's bullshit.
I tell you what, man. When we came that year, I met you. Wasn't it like a freaking blizzard? Wasn't it snowing that night?
It was kind of spitting and snowing, like kind of icy and all that stuff. If I remember right, it was in October, so it was a little shitty out there.
Yeah, I do remember it was like. Well, one of the things I remember was that the dude from the Killer Dwarfs ended up going to jail or something. But
yeah, no, it was actually George Call from Leatherwolf that went to jail, man.
Oh, was it? Okay, I thought it was the dude from the Killer Dwarfs. Okay, all right.
I remember. I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and heard someone yelling outside the hotel room because I was staying in the same hotel you guys were staying in, and he was out there in a park.
I remember seeing him after the show, and he was. His condition was not, let's say, sober.
No, he wasn't sober, dude.
No, he was not even close to sober. And if I remember right, he's a little guy.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
He's like, I mean, no respect if he's listening, but he's like 4'0" and he literally like. I remember seeing him and looking at him, going, "Oh, this is not going to turn out well." And then the next morning. We were in the shuttle going to the airport, and somebody told us, "Oh yeah, he ended up in freaking jail." It was like a really bad night for him.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of weird, like reminiscing about all this, and this being my first interview since I've been back in, since I've been out of the band. Very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate it, dude. And if you don't mind me asking, I know you're getting married, brother.
She's sitting right here eating ice cream, dude.
Well, hell yeah. I wish I was eating ice cream right now, but I'm talking to you. No.
Here, I'm gonna let you say hi. Say hi, Jules.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, Julie.
I'm eating my ice cream. Sorry, this is more important right now.
I don't blame you.
Her ice cream is way more important than my like old career in the band. But yeah, so yeah.
Well, hey, congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're looking at some. So oh, dude, my Apple Watch just went off. Hang on. So yeah, we're looking at like probably this year. It's been a very interesting 2 years since I left the band. A lot of it, I focused my time on getting back in touch with my family, getting back in touch with my faith, with my walk with the Lord, and that has a lot to do with where I'm at right now. One of the other things I want to say, Bobby, and pardon me for using your podcast as a forum, but I mentioned earlier that I had a conversation with Derek a couple of days ago, and Derek and I, and Jamie actually as well, we've lost three really close friends over the last 6 months to suicide.
Wow. Man.
And it kind of it wipes out the rock and roll. It wipes out the ice cream. It wipes out the marriage. It wipes out the grandchildren. It wipes out all of that, man. And one of the things that I'm going to do as I come back out into the public, into the view of the public, is, not only am I going to, promote my own, musical kind of progression and journey, along with, my faith in God. But one of the things I really, really, really want to promote and help with is suicide prevention. These three guys that we've lost one of them was an amazing musician. The other one was a really good friend of mine and Derek's, who supported us as musicians through the years. So, pardon me for using your podcast as a forum, but I just want to let people know that, there's always an option. There's always an option. You don't have to do that. And when I come back out, that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be working with, is helping people get through that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. No, man, that's great, man. I'm really sorry to hear that happened.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And it's kind of like anything else in life. It kind of strikes when you least expect it, and it happens to the people who you least expect it to happen to. And the last one that happened, that Derek told me about, and because I've been off social media, I didn't know, and he told me, hey, so and so, pull the plug, and it just inspired me to say, you know what, along with doing the things that I want to do musically and artistically, along with promoting my faith in God and helping to spread that kind of message, I got to have something else. And I think this is the one I've latched onto, is that you don't have to take your own life, man. It just doesn't, nothing's that bad. Nothing is that bad. And there's people out here that will love you and support you and help you. So I don't know what that's going to look like over the next few months, but, I'm working on it. You know what I mean?
Right, man. And, and if there's anything I can ever do to help you, put that out there, man, just let me know.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think it's about, I think it's about communication. I think it's about, people being aware. Come on. It's something that we've all lived with. I'm sure everybody who's listening to me right now has experienced it, where somebody they love or somebody they know or somebody they've heard about has done this. And, it just doesn't have to go down like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I know I have an audience, and I know that my voice and people listen to the things that I say. So, I think that in the autumn of my career, that I should really reach out and use that for good. You know, I'll be very honest, you know, for the last 35, 40 years, I used it for my own good. And now it's time for the roles to switch, you know?
Right. That's great, man.
No.
No, that's awesome, brother. You know, more people need to be, I mean, that's something that more people need to be aware of too, man. It's just like, and a lot of times you don't even know that somebody's
absolutely.
suffering.
Yeah, the individuals that I mentioned earlier were like I said, the last people you would have thought would make that decision.
Exactly.
And they portrayed all this, you know, great, happy, secure, wonderful, loving life on social media. But you never know, man. You never know when you're sitting there at the grocery store and that person in front of you, you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
You don't know what challenges life has thrown at them. And you know, I can attest, I've been there. I'll be honest. I mean, since you're my first interview, I should be honest, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been there. I've been at that door.
Right.
You know, and I've looked at that threshold and thought, man, you know, it'd be so much easier if I just walked over it. But I didn't. And I think I didn't because I know that there's people that love me and people that will help me and support me. So that's why I want to put myself in that position to help and support other people.
That's awesome, brother, man.
So, all right, enough of that.
No, that's awesome, man. That was great, man. It really was.
So you know, I'm off my soapbox now. So, all right. So, what's the most poignant, most important question that you thought about asking me this whole time?
The most important question? Well, hell, you've answered most of them.
Oh, wait, Judy, you saying I talk too much?
No, man, I'm just giving you shit.
No, I'll tell you what, Julie's raising her hand saying, yeah, he did.
Yeah, right.
I actually started a collection of sayings that Julie used to say to me. It's like, you know what? You're making too much noise. Go outside and play. And I think one day I'm going to publish that in like a 10-page book of like things my girl said to me.
Only 10 pages?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be 10 because she keeps repeating stuff, and I keep telling her, stop repeating yourself. So.
That's awesome. Well, I did have one question, man. I mean, I know you're not in the band anymore, man, but I'm curious. Now, I don't think Ron's in the band or Danny's in the band anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Danny left, and Danny, you know, I'm not going to speak to the reasons why everybody left.
Okay.
Everybody left for different reasons.
Okay.
But I think, okay, so let's take it one by one. When Danny left, we were like, okay, how do we recover from this? And the obvious answer is we need another guitar player, duh. And so John Matthews became available. And as I said earlier, earlier in the conversation, John was Babylon A.D.'s original guitar player, all the way back to the Persuader when we were the Persuaders.
Right.
So John became available. Everybody was agreeable. It was like, yes, bring him back. It was awesome. I remember, and I get a little choked up when I think about it, I remember some really, really, really magical moments, those first few rehearsals with John when he came back. It was like, oh, man. It's like home. Here we go. And not taking anything away from Danny, because Danny's amazing in his own right, but it was two different feels,
right.
You know? So John came back in, and then, you know, we had a good run. You know, we recorded an awesome album, made a bunch of videos. And mind you, we did all of that ourselves. We didn't rely on, you know, Frontier was our record label for Revelation Highway, but at the end of the day, we did it all ourselves.
Nice.
Derek, we recorded everything basically in Derek's garage.
Oh, wow.
With Derek at the boards. All those videos, we shot them ourselves. So Crash and Burn, 1 Million Miles, Slave Your Body, all those videos we did that all ourselves.
Nice.
So that's a big thing. I mean, that's a big thing. I remember being in Germany on the road and Derek in the van in the back editing the Crash and Burn video at the 11th hour. We're like, we got like an hour and a half to send this to Frontier so they can publish it, blah, 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 blah. And he's editing the video as we're driving down the road, hitting over bumpy Germany roads. So, yeah. So, so then we got back and we finished Revelation Highway Tour, and, then I kind of hit the wall, They hit the wall with me and I hit the wall with them. And we needed some space. And so then I left, and then a few months later, Ron left. Now, Ron, amazing guitarist. I wouldn't doubt that you're going to be seeing some sort of effort from him in the next couple of months. I think when Ron left, it was almost a death nail. I think when I left, it was the beginning of the end. Actually, no, I take that back. When Danny left, it was kind of the beginning of the end. And then when I left, it was like, crap. And then when Ron left, it was tough. Now, the guys that have come in as replacements, awesome musicians. I mean, both Eric Pacheco and the Hernandez kid I've watched grow up from single digits. I knew they were basically, I knew them when they were in diapers. So to watch those guys come up and step into a prestigious role in Babylon A.D., that's pretty cool. But quite honestly, man, I think the band, I'll use Danny's term, I think the band's on hiatus, and it could be a permanent hiatus at this point.
And I don't mean any disrespect, man, but when I think of Babylon A.D., I think of you and Danny and Ron and Derek, and Jamie. I mean, that's what I think of. I mean, that's what I...
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby, I'm looking around the room, and I'm seeing a lot of... I have a few people listening to me right now, and they're all giving an affirmative nod of yes, okay? And let's face it. Let's look at bands that, big bands like Aerosmith that tried to do replacement people. Remember there was that whole period of time when Aerosmith, Joe Perry was gone and there was all these replacements. It's never the same. It truly is never the same,
right.
And again, I don't want to take anything away from the guys that came in behind John, Ron, Danny, and I, because they're great musicians in their own right. But the formula, it's just like, let's take ice cream. When you have your favorite dang ice cream that you'll go into the store and you'll be like, nope, they don't have it. And you'll get in your car and go home and do without. It's kind of the same thing.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think Revelation Highway, as I said earlier, was a good way for us to go out. I wish Danny would have been a part of it. But, it just didn't work out that way.
Right.
But again, I think the six of us, including John Matthews, we have a lot to be proud of. We put out a lot of good records over the years. And, I look back on every single song that we recorded or performed live, and I'm proud of it, man.
Oh, and you should be. Your guys' catalog is amazing. It really is.
Yeah, and definitely an underdog catalog for sure.
I mean, even the record you didn't play on, American Blitzkrieg, that's got some great songs on it, man.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I enjoyed playing songs like Sinking in the Sand.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, damn, Eric Pacheco's a pretty good bass player. You know, because he ripped out on a lot of that material, man.
There's some cool tracks on that.
Absolutely. Sinking in the Sand, Magic Mary, there's a lot of great material on there. You know, and I think that just speaks to God, this sounds like so grandiose, but the legacy of Babylon A.D. You know, we wrote and performed and recorded a lot of good music that made a lot of people happy, and you know, what else could you want being a musician?
No, man.
You know?
I feel you, man. I mean, if you never recorded another note, man, you put your footprint in it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You know what? Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, you can ask Alexis who Babylon A.D. is, and she'll tell you.
Oh, I know. I've done it because I remember Julie posting something about that on Facebook, so I did it the next day.
Oh, did you really see that? I was like,
I did see that. It was awesome.
One night, I was just sitting there with Julie one night, and I'm like, Dave, check it. Who's that? Alexa, who's Babylon A.D.? And I was like blown away that she actually knew who we were.
She knows everything, man.
She does, dude. She knows when I'm going. She knows when I'm going to the donut store on Saturday morning because my Google Maps tells me it's 3 minutes to the donut store.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, I was in Walmart one day, and I don't even know how the hell this happened. I was in there looking at some stains because I got something I need to stain. Well, I get home that night, and my Facebook feed's got all these, like, Minwax advertisements and shit. I'm like, what the hell is going on, man?
No, dude, I'll tell you what. The next time you're driving with a group of friends, have a discussion about pink flamingos in Brazil. Okay. And I guarantee you that one of your phones will push Brazil vacations or save the pink flamingos. I guarantee you.
I have no doubt. I will do it, man.
Hey, Bobby, I just wanted to tell you, man, congratulations on having this podcast and kudos for, like, keeping our music alive, man. There's not a lot of people that are, you know, diehard Uber fans like you that take it to the next level and, you know, play the music and follow the bands and eventually, you know, putting it out on a broadcast venue for people to hear. And I just wanted to congratulate you on that, man.
Well, man, I really appreciate that, man. I really do. I mean, this is kind of my thing, man. You know, I don't play out live much anymore. So I've recently moved from Illinois to Missouri, and this kind of gives me, it satisfies me, you know, it's my medicine, you know. I don't have to, now that I'm not playing live, this kind of gives me this is my medicine, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I totally can feel you on that. It's like, you know, as our generation and the people that grew up with our music get older, you know, we've all got to kind of choose where we're going to be and how we're going to keep that part of our lives. And you know, for me, it's like, you know, I'm going to do this last little effort over the next year or two and kind of put it out there. You know, who knows where it may go. I'm absolutely not looking to take this to a commercial level, but I guess I want my fans and the people that were Babylon fans to kind of see where I landed. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally understand that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like now Danny's got a record out. Shameless plug, 12 weeks, Danny Della Rosa.
That's right.
So and Mississippi Mud for Jarek Davis, and, you know, I'm sure, like I said, Ron Fresky will be coming out with something. But, you know, it's like everybody's got their swan song. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I get it, man. It's great. I mean, I'm glad, you know, and it's good for all you guys to, you know, to do something different and, you know, kind of branch out a little bit. It's good for you, man.
Well, I think it is. I think as a musician, it's you know, the inevitable step. You have to keep evolving and keep reinventing yourself if you want to stay vital, you know, and I know Derek definitely wants to be in that position of putting out music and being vital. But quite honestly, I think, I hate to say this, but I think the days of Babylon A.D. are done, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay because we left a really good mark, and as underdog as we were, the true fans that really believe in this music knew who we were, respected our music, and loved it. You know?
Yep. I can testify to that.
Cool.
Man, brother, man. You know, dude, just real quick, man, thank you. And, you know, congratulations on your engagement and your marriage and all that stuff. That's great, brother. I'm proud of everything you've done, brother.
Well, I appreciate that, Bobby Thornton. And, you know, I'm going to extend. Okay, here's the deal. Julie's looking at me going, don't you say it.
What?
I'm going to formally invite you to our wedding. You want to come out to our wedding, I'll send you the date, and you come out and you celebrate with us. How about that?
If I can make it work, brother, hell yeah.
I'll give you plenty of notice, man.
You better, cause I be shit. Don't tell me it's next weekend, cause that'd be tough.
No. I actually thought about that. I was like, you know what? This is taking way too long. I'm just gonna we'll go to the Justice of the Peace, and you know, we'll take off and go do a Fiji vacation or something. Then I was like, nah, you know what? She deserves way better than that. So definitely going to be some planning. So there's plenty of time for me to get you to book a flight and get you out here. You stay with me, and yeah, we'll do it like that.
So is it this year or is it next year, or give me some?
Well, wait a minute. Wait. We're in what, February? Oh, it's going to be this year. I can't wait anymore.
Okay.
we got engaged November 2018, and yeah, we were going to do it last year, but Julie's got some health things going on that we're working on, and she's powering through like a trooper, and so as we go through that, I can't wait anymore. I love this girl too much.
Well, that's awesome, brother. You know, I've never met her personally, man, but she seems like she's a keeper, brother.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. She came along coincidentally, like right when I was falling, right when I was like, you know, questioning why I spent 40 years in a band, and you know, through my chemical abuse and my, you know, like I said earlier, man, sex, drugs, rock and roll, I was living that. She came along right when all of that was colliding and crashing down, and man, wow, she was like a shining light, and like this beautiful hand came down and grabbed my hand and pulled me up out of that. So
right,
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'll shoot Julie my address, and you can send me that invite, and if for some reason I can't make it, at least I'll have that invite I can frame and put it up in my rock and roll room.
I'll tell you what, man, God bless you, and I'll come looking for you trying to sell that thing on eBay.
I ain't selling shit. I'm putting it up to that badass poster you signed for me, man.
There you go, brother. No, absolutely, man. And who knows, there might even be a plane ticket in that invitation, you know?
Oh, fuck. Well, I got to bring my wife, man, so you might not want to talk about that.
Well, I always book things double. So.
Yeah, all right, brother.
Extra, brother. Extra.
Yeah, I would. Hey, man, if I can make it work, I'd love to come out there and hang out and have a drink with you guys.
Absolutely, man. That would be amazing. You know, my wedding reception would be the most amazing wedding reception with guys like you and Jason Stabler and the Kuhn brothers and the really true diehard fans that supported me and Derek and the guys through all the years could be at my wedding. That would be amazing. That'd be so cool.
That would be sweet, man.
Cool. Well, all right, Bobby. Anything else you want to ask me?
Nah, brother, man, it was a great conversation, man. I really appreciate it, man. I'm really overwhelmed right now just because you called me, man. I enjoyed talking to you, and man, I just hope you have a great rest of your night, man, and have a great weekend, brother, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Bobby, I'm available for you anytime. Maybe we should, like, put together some kind of trivia show. or you and I kind of like do our own podcast. Yeah, Julie's giving me the button the lip thing. All right. All right, Bobby. God bless you, brother. God bless everybody out there. Thank you to all the Babylon A.D. fans through the years. Stay tuned because all of us, all 6 of us, got more stuff to offer you guys. So God bless you all, and have a good night.
Take care, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to episode 2 featuring Robb Reid from Babylon A.D. That concludes our episode. Please go to our Facebook page, check the links to our sponsors, and everyone have a good night. Thank you.